Welcome to This Explainer. I am so pumped you're joining us today because we are diving into something absolutely fascinating for all you focused learners out there. We are unpacking the ultimate industry standard 2026 toolkit for Kali Linux. You know, if you've ever wondered what really separates a total cybersecurity beginner from a seasoned pro, well, it's simple. It's the tools they've mastered. Seriously, missing just one of these in your arsenal means you are leaving a massive loophole in your security audits. So, we're going to look exactly at what the pros are using right now to evaluate and protect systems in today's advanced digital landscape. Let's get right into it.
But hey, before we go any further, I do need to hit pause for a second and set some crucial ethical ground rules. This explainer is strictly for educational and ethical purposes. We are exploring these tools for one reason only: to understand how to protect, audit, and strengthen systems defensively. Unauthorized access to computer systems is literally illegal. No gray area there. So if you're going to test these out, and you absolutely should, always practice in a safe, controlled lab environment. Let's stay ethical and use this knowledge to build better defenses, all right?
Okay, let's dive into this. Our agenda today is structured exactly like the life cycle of a professional security audit: reconnaissance, network scanning, web application auditing, exploitation and credentials, system post-exploitation, and finally, digital forensics.
Let's kick things off with Phase 1, reconnaissance, gathering clues from the outside. So in this very first step, we're gathering vital info without ever actually touching the target's internal network. It's pure old-school digital detective work. And when we talk about gathering clues, you absolutely have to know about Shodan. You know how Google searches for website content? Well, Shodan doesn't care about that. It scans for the back-end devices connected to the web. It's honestly kind of mind-blowing because it acts like a giant X-ray machine for the internet. It peels back the curtain and uncovers servers, routers, webcams, smart TVs, and even IoT appliances. Think like internet-connected refrigerators and air conditioners. It reveals all their technical configurations before you even think about launching a simulated attack.
To round out this reconnaissance phase, we've got 3 essential detective tools you'll want in your back pocket. First up is the Harvester. This thing automates the grunt work. You feed it a company's domain, and it scours search engines to instantly spit out emails, subdomains, and employee names. Pretty handy, right? Next is Sherlock. Just give it a specific username, and it rapidly scans over 400 popular websites to see exactly where that person is active online. And finally, there's Maltago. You can start with just a single email address, and Maltago visually maps out the entire digital footprint of a corporation or an individual, linking social media, IPs, domains, the whole shebang. Together, these MVPs map out a target's complete attack surface.
Moving right along to Phase 2, network scanning, mapping the perimeter and simulating attacks. Once you've got the footprint mapped out, you move closer to the target. Here, we're verifying entry points and monitoring data traffic inside a controlled network environment. And a massive part of this phase is all about visibility. Take TCP dump, for example. I absolutely love this analogy. It's essentially a digital CCTV camera for your network. It gives you real-time monitoring of every single tiny packet passing through your system. If there's a hiccup, maybe packets are dropping or a site isn't loading right, TCP dump is your ultimate troubleshooting tool. You can watch exactly where your data travels.
Building on that visibility, here is your core network scanning arsenal. Now, whether you're an ethical hacker or a system admin, mastering these 3 specific tools is absolutely mandatory. First, we have Nmap. It's the foundational digital scanner everyone uses to verify network entry points and see what ports are hanging open. Second is Responder, and this one is just fascinating. It's basically a digital trap. It just lies in wait, and the second a computer misconfigures a request, Responder lures it right in to capture its security credentials. Sneaky, but brilliant. And third, Wireshark. This is a highly popular graphical protocol analyzer that breaks down microscopic data packet exchanges. It literally shows you exactly what your computer is whispering to the internet.
Next up is Phase 3, web application auditing, checking the digital locks. Okay, so we've mapped the network. Now we check the specific software hosted on those open ports to see if there are any broken locks or open windows. And honestly, when you talk about web app auditing, you are talking about Burp Suite. It is without a doubt the world's #1 tool for bug bounty hunters. It acts as this ultimate gatekeeper and proxy, revealing those hidden behind-the-scenes HTTP conversations between your browser and the website server. And what's super exciting right now is how these tools are evolving. Actually, there's this new AI-powered extension called Burp GPT. It integrates AI straight into Burp Suite, making vulnerability scanning so much smarter and incredibly automated.
Let's break down the landscape of web auditing scanners, comparing the free open source stuff with the premium paid tools. On the open source side, you've got OWASP Zap, which is a massively popular tool for identifying security holes and attack vectors. Then there's Nuclei. I like to think of Nuclei as a smart robot. You hand it a bunch of templates, point it at a website, and it rapidly scans the whole place, reporting back on any broken locks. Now, if you look at the premium side, tools like Acunetics step in. These offer heavy-duty, automated vulnerability scanning that's specifically built for complex, enterprise-level applications.
Ugh, and we definitely can't leave the web app phase without talking about databases. Enter Nmap. This is an open-source penetration testing tool that automates the detection and exploitation of SQL injection flaws. If you need to audit database security specifically, Nmap is hands down the most popular tool out there. It's your go-to for making sure that back-end data vault is locked tight.
All right, let's turn the dial up a bit. Phase 4, exploitation and credentials. Breaking in and testing the passwords.
So let's see how all of this builds into actual exploitation. We're testing the true robustness of a system's digital locks. Can they actually be broken? Well, here is your ultimate credential auditing toolkit. First up, the Metasploit framework. Think of this as the unified platform that brings pretty much every hacking tool under one roof. When we focus on passwords, you've got Hashcat. That's your digital lock tester, figuring out just how tough a password is to crack. Then you have John the Ripper, which acts like a security inspector actively evaluating the strength of your password wall. And lastly, Hydra. This is basically your master key tester. It's incredibly fast and checks to see if your server's main login window can be easily bypassed by automated guessing.
Which brings us to Phase 5, system post-exploitation. Roaming the interior. Okay, so let's say you've successfully bypassed the locks in your simulation. What happens next? That's the million-dollar question. What does a hacker actually do once they get inside? Usually, their initial access only gives them basic, low-level user rights. So, professionals use privilege escalation scanners to find a way to gain more control. On the left side here, we have the legendary LinPeas. It's a sophisticated automated auditor that evaluates Linux systems, looking for any post-exploitation security gaps. And on the right is its Windows counterpart, WinPeas. Now, Windows has literally thousands of settings, so checking them manually? Yeah, no way. WinPeas scans the entire system in a matter of seconds to find misconfigurations that let a regular user escalate their privileges straight to administrator access. Game changer. And once an attacker gets that elevated access, tools like Mimikatz come out to play. Now listen, this is a massive favorite among hackers, so as a defender, you absolutely must understand it. Mimikatz can extract passwords directly from Windows RAM. It enables what's called pass-the-hash attacks. This means someone can gain system access using encrypted hashes without ever needing the actual plaintext password. Pretty scary, right? On top of that, it can generate these persistent golden tickets that grant totally unrestricted access to almost any resource on a network.
Now, what's really interesting about this next slide is how BloodHound takes all that chaotic, complex internal network data and turns it into a super clear visual map. When you're roaming the interior of a massive corporate network, understanding the layout is a total nightmare. BloodHound solves this by mapping out the complex relationships between users, computers, and groups in Active Directory. It creates this intuitive, interactive graph. It literally shows you the exact path an attacker could take to pivot from some low-level compromised account all the way to complete domain dominance.
Finally, we arrive at Phase 6, digital forensics. Time for the cleanup and investigation.
This final phase takes us to the aftermath. This is where cybersecurity pros put on their detective hats to investigate incidents, uncover evidence, and recover lost data. We've got a very logical step-by-step workflow here for extracting that critical digital evidence. Step 1 is memory forensics, using Volatility 3. It's the world's most popular framework for analyzing computer RAM to find immediate, volatile evidence. Step 2 is storage analysis. We use Autopsy for this, which is a powerful open-source platform used to recover hidden or deleted data from hard drives. And step 3 is firmware inspection using Binwalk, a tool designed specifically to scan binary files for embedded data, secret files, or hidden code.
To really dig deep into those investigations, professionals rely on these advanced forensic powerhouses. These are the exact enterprise-grade utilities used in real-world cyber investigations. First, FTK Imager. This is an industry standard used to secure a flawless, bit-for-bit digital copy of a storage device. Then there's Velociraptor, such a cool name by the way, which is an incredibly advanced endpoint monitoring tool featuring its own unique query language. And rounding it out is the SFIFT workstation, a powerful open-source Linux distribution engineered specifically from the ground up for incident response.
And that brings us to the end of our journey through the 2026 Cybersecurity Toolkit. Like we talked about at the start, missing just one of these tools means leaving a loophole in your audit. Knowing your way around these is truly the difference between a beginner and a pro. But you know what? You now have the roadmap to start exploring these utilities yourself. Just remember, always practice in an ethical, controlled lab environment. Keep it safe, keep it legal. So I want to leave you with this provocative question. Knowing what you know now, which tool are you going to master first? Thanks for joining me on this explainer and keep learning out there.